Right, hello. Today I'm in Nottingham and I'm in the home of Maurice Bacon, who is the author of The Blast of War, one of the best books, possibly the best book, about the Bantams that has ever been written on this planet. So, hello Maurice.
Hello, Michael.
Hello Michael, thank you very much.
Now, you're very welcome.
I have a few questions, and Maurice has very, very kindly offered to answer some of my very probing questions today. So, question number one, Maurice.
Yeah.
When was The Blast of War produced?
It was printed at the Sherwood Press, which is a company that I started and ran for many years.
I think this is what they call a plug for your own business. So yeah, it was by the Sherwood Press that you started.
Sherwood Press, yes. Yes, that's where we printed it, yeah.
And when was it printed?
Well, we launched it in 1986.
So we're looking at nearly 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So 38 years ago, actually. Wow.
Yes. The research took about 20 years previously because I was very busy being busy, and so I never had a lot of leisure time to devote, really. But that's what happened.
So you were running your business?
Yes.
And at the same time as running the business, you were doing your research for this?
Well, yes.
Incredible. So can you tell the viewing public, what is The Blast of War about?
Well, it's about a battalion in the First War, which were known as the Nottingham Bantams. In 1914, the minimum height for the army was 5'4" inches. And in 1915, when they were getting short of men, it was realised that there was a big amount of men under that height who were physically fit. A lot of the local men in this case were mine workers, who were very strong, fit, and so the battalion was formed of men under the height of 5'3".
So this is what the book's about. So it's about the Bantams. Which particular regiment is it?
It's the Sherwood Foresters, which is the Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire regiment.
And which battalion?
Well, this is the 15th Service Battalion. That means it was raised purely for hostilities only. The regiment had 2 regular battalions in 1914, but eventually they actually numbered 33 battalions of Sherwood Foresters.
So during the Great War they expanded?
I believe just 2 didn't serve in the Western Front.
Wow, wow. So at the beginning of the war, the Notts and Derby, sure, they were very small in terms of battalions, but then during the war, 33 battalions.
Yes.
It's incredible, incredible. Did you write this book on your own, or was somebody else involved?
No, because I was very busy being busy, as I said, I didn't have a lot of leisure time, and although I had got some facts, I hadn't really been putting the thing together to anything like a book form. And so I was assisted by a friend who had produced other military history books, and he helped me largely to put all of the information together.
Very handy, very handy. So you were running a printing business.
Yes, I'm printing.
So that's a 24/7 kind of job.
That's right.
Very busy. And in your spare time, you were doing your research, putting it all together, and this other person gave you a hand.
That's right. Yes.
And do you have any family relationship with the Sherwood Foresters?
Yes. The 2 figures in military uniform on the front cover of the book. The one on the left is my father, who was 17 when he volunteered, and the one on the right is my grandfather, and the lady in the middle is my paternal grandmother.
Wow. So your father and your grandfather were Bantams.
Yeah.
Okay. And it must have been quite unusual to actually have a father and a son in the same battalion.
Yes, I think so, yes.
Yeah. Could I ask what motivated your grandfather to join?
Well, I was never able to ask him myself. I just guess that it was just patriotism, which in those days was a very big factor in people's lives, probably more so than it is today, I think. And so I think that's why they volunteered.
Because he was...
King and country.
Absolutely. And he was in his late 30s, wasn't he?
Yes.
At the time, so yeah.
He had no military experience, but because he was an older man, he was made up early to a corporal.
Yeah, yeah. And his son there with his bugle.
Yes.
So, was he a bugler?
Yes, he'd been in the Boys' Brigade, and he'd been in the band for that. So he was able to...
So here's a question you might be able to answer. I heard that in many cases the stretcher bearers were the battalion musicians.
Yes.
So would your father...
Yes, I understand. I don't know for how long, but I understand for a period he acted as a stretcher bearer.
Where did you get your information from? I ask because today, if you need anything, you can just go on the internet and you can find almost anything. But when you wrote this in the 1980s...
Well, I was a member of the Military Historical Society and I was asked to give a talk, but I didn't think I knew a lot about anything to talk. But I did have some information about the battalion. I had a stable belt that my grandfather made and sent out to France. And I had a shooting medal that he was awarded as best shot in the company. And so, just prior to the talk, there was a programme on the radio by Winford Vaughan Thomas called The Bantams, and I listened to the programme, and they had a 15th Sherwood Forester, a Mr. James Taylor, and he was interviewed in that programme, and I later went, after having got his address, and I went with the tape recorder to interview him, and that was really the start of the beginnings of a book.
Yeah, yeah. And I gather you had to do a bit of detective work to get in touch with this gentleman.
Yes, I think I wrote 4 letters to the BBC before they let me know his address, but he was a fascinating old gentleman and a very good witness.
Yeah, yeah. And today in Maurice's home, I was able to listen to that radio broadcast and also the recordings that Maurice made back in the 80s. And it was fantastic listening to the voices of these men who were involved.
Yes.
I did try looking them up myself on the internet, no luck, and I went to the Imperial War Museum, again, no luck there, so it was really good. Is there anything that you would have liked to have included in this book, but which you couldn't find at the time?
Well, yes, as a result of having produced the book, a lot of information came from relatives of veterans. A lady from Australia, a lawyer from New York contacted me, and so we would have liked to include their stories, but of course if we'd never done the book, the information would probably never have come to light. So yes, there would have been things that we would like to have included. It could have been, with the information that came, the book could have been twice as big as it is in terms of information.
Believe me, there's plenty of information here. There's several other books about the Bantams that are out there and that I've read. One thing I like about this one, apart from the whole personal connection there, is there's a huge amount of detail regarding the movements of the 15th Sherwood Foresters. So I think you have access to the regimental records, the diaries.
Yes, we had the brigade diary from Kew. We went to Kew, both of us.
Wow.
And we gleaned a huge amount of information from that. We were able to verify a lot of the stories that the veterans told us, but we were able to see it in official records at Kew.
And the work shows, I've been doing a lot of reading around the Great War myself, and I've read books written by men who were there, and they're always very sketchy about dates. Fascinating books telling you what they did, but you're wondering, yeah, but when did it happen? So this book, you've got dates and places, it's wonderful. And the regimental diaries are very useful too, because I understand that individual soldiers weren't allowed to keep diaries themselves.
No, no. I do have a diary belonging to a veteran, but he should not have had it.
And he would be shot today. So, final question. If anybody would like to purchase this copy of this book, this copy is not for sale. Okay, The Blast of War by Maurice Bacon. By Maurice Bacon and also, hang on, and David Langley.
David Langley, yeah.
Okay, I don't want David coming after me. Sorry, David.
No, David
Okay.
Langley, yeah.
If anybody would like to get their own copy, because I think it's out of print now.
Yes, I just have a very few copies left, actually.
Okay, so get in touch with me and I'll get in touch with him,
Yes.
and we'll all make money.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I think I got mine on eBay, and I think, I don't remember, I think it was around about 50 quid or something. But if you're interested in the Sherwood Foresters Regiment, and the Bantams in particular, it is money very well spent. So yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Maurice. And this concludes my broadcast on Nottingham today.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.